talk more about America's energy future, and bring in Mike Sommers. He is president and CEO of the American Petroleum Institute. It was their conference we were at earlier today. Mike, I know the conference is ongoing. What were the one or two so far big takeaways from that event today?
Well, one of the things that we talked about today is what we call the demand decade. We know that energy demand is going to continue to grow over the course of the next decade. The real question is whether the American political environment is ready to unleash American energy. Are we going to have the right regulatory reforms in place? Are we going to be able to build infrastructure and change the permitting process to make sure that we can actually get that energy from where it is to where it needs to be? And are we going to continue to lead the world in energy production as we are today?
But you got my broader point, Mike. There is a little bit of a growing conflict. The administration wants lower prices, lower gasoline prices, lower inputs for inflation. But as you heard Marianne Mannon at your event say this morning, there is a point at which it's too low. Is there some sort of sweet spot for prices where both the White House and the Oil and Gas Administration might be happy?
Well, I give the President of the United States a lot of credit. The President has done a lot just this year alone in lightening the regulatory footprint of the federal government. We're able to build pipelines again because of this administration. We've lifted the EV mandate. We've, of course, also allowed LNG to flow again in the Gulf Coast by getting rid of that LNG permitting pause. So we're at a point now where they are lowering the regulatory costs for production in the United States. Demand is going to continue to increase both in the United States and abroad. And I'm confident that the United States is going to continue to be the world superpower for energy. 13 million barrels of oil produced every single day, record natural gas production, but demand is also increasing as well for all energy sources. If we're going to make sure that we can continue to do this and lead the world, we need a regulatory environment that supports it, and that means permitting reform in 2026.
I think this has been one of the biggest myths or falsehoods or just incorrect statements made about oil and natural gas globally in the last few years, which this idea that if we see an increase in, say, EVs, and I bought an EV, I like electric cars, they're fast and fun to drive, but if we see an increase in that, we're going to see a huge decrease in the usage of oil. The IEA was a little bit on that train. They've now reversed course. Everybody now sees demand continuing to rise. Just look at Norway, super high EV penetration, but high oil and gas use as well. Is that kind of what people have gotten wrong about this industry the last few years?
Well, we're finally back to a point where we're talking about energy reality, not myth-making by energy analysts. The truth of the matter is all energy sources are going to see increases. We are not in competition with other sources of energy production. We're actually working with other sources of energy because we know we're going to need it all. But the core is going to continue to be natural gas and oil produced here in the United States.
Yeah, it really is. And then finally, Mike, obviously Venezuela and Iran, we are rooting for the people of those countries. Venezuela has been an economic disaster forever. Their oil infrastructure is literally rotting. It's literally falling down. It's an environmental risk as well. We know kind of what's happening in Iran. That's about a combined 4 million barrels a day. I asked Marianne Mannon of Marathon earlier about this. She said they were ready. I know you talked to everybody in the industry. Is the U.S. oil and gas industry ready to step up if we see some major supply disruptions for one or both of those nations? Iran in particular, their oil company, NIOC, they may hold their workers. They may hold the power in how this revolution ends up, because if they stop working, cut off the money, that regime is likely dead. Is the U.S. oil and gas industry ready to pick up the slack here?
These are two tremendous opportunities. First of all, in Venezuela, if we get security and policy right, if we get rule of law in place and sanctity of contracts, and we're actually able to produce there in a secure way, because as you know, the guerrillas are very powerful back in Venezuela right now. We need to make sure that it's a secure environment for our workforce to work. So we're excited about the opportunity in Venezuela, but they have to have things put in place right now, prerequisites, before we're going to have the kind of investment that we want to see in the country of Venezuela. Iran is a huge opportunity as well. But truly, what we're looking at right now is freedom for the Iranian people. They've been living under this repressive regime since 1979. There's tremendous opportunity. I think what you're seeing in the markets today are real concerns about what the response would be if the United States intervened, and the potential for strikes in Saudi Arabia and other key oil regions throughout the world. So we're watching this very closely, but for Iran, the opportunities are significant because they're producing all of this oil right now. They're the sixth largest producer of oil in the world right now, and they're doing it without Western engineering techniques. If we could go in there and really be able to produce in Iran again, the sky is the limit for that country, both for natural gas and for oil. But again, we're going to need a lot of more oil and natural gas from the United States because we continue to be the core of production throughout the world.